Welcome to Cannabis Remix, a channel about using less cannabis in a way that's positive, non-judgmental, and empowering. I'm Coach Sam. I'm a board-certified preventive medicine doctor and a certified wellness coach. Now, a quick side note. I am a medical doctor, but I'm not your doctor. This isn't medical advice. I'm not here to diagnose you or tell you what to do. These videos are for education, insight, and support. And if you ever need professional care, I fully encourage you to seek it. Now, before we dive in, one quick but important clarification. When I talk about self-sabotage thoughts, I don't actually mean hearing voices. These are just thoughts, the mental chatter that we all have in our heads. But if you ever hear voices as if someone's in the room when they're not, that's something different. Cannabis can sometimes cause that, and doctors call it cannabis-induced psychosis. In everyday language, it just means your brain is reacting to cannabis in a way that makes you hear things that aren't really there. If that's happening to you, it's not your fault. But it is a medical concern. Please stop using cannabis and reach out for professional help. You don't have to go through that alone, and the right support can make a big difference. Now, with that said, let's talk about the kinds of thoughts that show up as part of cravings, what I call the 10 self-sabotage thoughts. A question that a lot of people quietly ask themselves is, why can't I control my cannabis use? Instead of thinking about it as a problem of control, I want to flip that question a bit. A better question to ask is, what actually leads me to use more than I planned? Because the truth is, most people don't just pick up and use out of nowhere. There's usually a moment right before that choice, a thought that pops up and convinces you. That's what I call the self-sabotage thought. It's the thought part of a craving. And here's why that's important. A craving isn't just in your body. It actually shows up in 3 different ways. The first is the physical pull: tension, restlessness, fatigue. The second is the emotional pull: stress, sadness, frustration, loneliness. And the third is the thinking pull: those sabotaging thoughts that say things like, just this once, or you'll never quit anyway. That thinking part, the self-sabotage thought, is often the final step before the compulsion. And by compulsion, I simply mean a behavior that feels out of your control, something you didn't really plan to do, and something you often regret afterward. That's why this episode matters, because if you can start to recognize these 10 self-sabotage thoughts, you can create just enough space to make a different choice. So let's walk through 10 common types of self-sabotage thoughts. As you listen, notice which ones sound familiar. And I encourage you to come back to this video as many times as you need until these thoughts become really clear. Because the moment you can say, oh, that's the mean judgmental one talking, you've already taken some of your power back. We'll start with the most intense ones and then move down toward the subtler ones. Number 1, the mean judgmental one. This is the harshest thought. It attacks you. It says things like, you're pathetic for even trying. You'll never change, so why bother? It leaves you feeling worthless and hopeless. But remember, this isn't the truth. It's just a craving thought, showing up in a mean disguise. Number 2, the hopeless one. This one sounds defeated. It whispers, you'll always be a stoner. This is just who you are. It tries to make the future feel closed off, like change isn't even possible. But that hopelessness is just another craving trick. Number 3, the fearful one. This one plays on anxiety. It says, what if I can't sleep without it? What if I get anxious later? Better to smoke now. It turns fear into justification. But fear, just like cravings, always passes if you let it. Moving on to number 4, the emotional escape one. This one promises to numb your feelings. It says things like, I'm too angry right now, I need relief. Or, I can't handle the sadness. I need to take the edge off. It tempts you with the idea of escape, but usually the feelings are still waiting for you afterward. Number 5, the impatient one. This thought hates discomfort. It pushes you with lines like, "Why wait? You can feel better in minutes." It wants quick relief right now, without giving you space to ride the craving through. Number 6, the entitled one. This one justifies use by appealing to your struggles. It says, "You've been through so much. You deserve this. Nobody understands what you deal with." It sounds caring, but in the end, it just keeps you stuck. Number 7, the reward one. This one sounds almost reasonable. It says, "You've been good all week. Reward yourself." Or, "You've already cut down a lot. Celebrate with a little." But that so-called reward often resets the cycle you've been working so hard to break. Number 8, the comfort one. This is a soothing thought. It says, "You had a long day. You've earned it." It feels gentle, but it keeps tying your comfort to cannabis instead of helping you find new ways to relax. Number 9, the minimizer one. This one downplays everything. It says, "It's just a little. It's not a big deal." But small choices repeated over and over add up quickly, and that's how people slide back into old patterns. And lastly, number 10, the excuser. This is the thought that makes excuses. It says, "Other people smoke way more than I do," or "It's just weed, it's harmless." It tries to shift the focus away from your own goals and back onto comparison, but your journey is about you, not anyone else. Now, if you recognize yourself in some of these thoughts, please know that doesn't mean you're broken. These are completely human. They're just how the brain learns to repeat what feels familiar and rewarding. And here's the most important thing. The goal is not to fight these thoughts. Fighting them usually makes them louder. The goal is to notice them, to say, "This is a self-sabotage thought, not me." That awareness alone already starts to loosen their grip. Of course, even when you recognize these thoughts, it can still feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels like the thoughts are glued to you. That's normal. Everyone experiences that. The good news is, you don't have to fight with these thoughts or make them disappear. You just need a way to sit with them until they pass. One tool I found really helpful for this is an acronym called RAIN, R-A-I-N. It doesn't make the thoughts vanish, but it gives you a tool and something to lean on when they show up. Here's how it works. R stands for recognize. This is simply recognizing that you're in a craving episode. That moment of awareness is powerful because it means you haven't given in automatically. You've created just enough space to pause. If you're even recognizing a craving in real time, you're already ahead of most people who are still on autopilot. A stands for accept. This step means accepting the craving to be there without judgment. Acceptance does not mean calling yourself an addict or shaming yourself for slipping before or getting angry that you feel this way. It means saying, "This is happening right now, it's uncomfortable, but it's human and I accept it." It also means accepting why the craving is here in the first place. If you've been using cannabis every day for a long time, for many years in some cases, your brain and body have learned to expect it. So when you cut back, cravings are simply the natural result of that long-term pattern adjusting. They're not proof that you're weak. They're just the price of daily overuse. And accepting that truth helps you work with the craving instead of against yourself. I stands for investigate. This is where curiosity comes in. Instead of running from the craving, get interested and really curious about what it actually feels like. Where do you feel it in your body? Is it tightness in your chest, restlessness in your hands, a swirl in your head? How does it change your breathing? What emotions come with it? Dr. Judson Brewer, who popularized this method, suggests even making the sound out loud, the way that we do when we're genuinely curious about something. That sound sparks curiosity. You can ask yourself, how does my craving feel right now? The more curious you get, the less trapped you feel. And lastly, N stands for note. Noting is noticing what happens over time. It means paying attention to how the craving changes as time passes. Cravings feel permanent in the moment, but they actually rise and fall. Some people find it helpful to set a stopwatch and ask, how long does this craving really last? You'll often see it peak and then fade. Noting will help you realize a craving isn't endless. It changes. And you can write it out. With practice, you start to see cravings as waves instead of walls. That's RAIN. Recognize, accept, investigate, note. It takes courage, and at first, it's not easy. But like any skill, it gets easier the more you practice. And once you start using RAIN, even if you still end up using cannabis sometimes, you'll notice you've already built a new level of awareness and control. And awareness is always the first step. As they say in the healing communities outside of medicine, without awareness, there is no control. Thank you so much to all my viewers who have stuck with me for this entire episode. In a future episode, I'm going to flip this around and introduce you to the opposite of the self-sabotage dots, what I call the self-coach dots. These are the kinds of dots you can actually practice, nurture, and strengthen over time. They're the dots that help you write out cravings, encourage you when you feel stuck, and empower you to use less cannabis in a way that feels more doable and less punishing. If today's episode was about building awareness, the next one is about building tools. And once you start to recognize self-coach dots, you'll see how much easier it becomes to keep moving forward without shame. Before I wrap up, I want to say that I love creating these videos, and I'm grateful for the support and comments I've gotten so far. However, these short episodes take me hours to make, and right now I only have small windows of time. That's why I'll be taking a break from YouTube videos and focusing on writing the Cannabis Remix book, a guide that goes deeper and can help people right away. Don't worry if books aren't your thing. Everything that I share in the book will eventually come here to YouTube as well. The book is just there for those who want a resource they can dive into right away without waiting for episodes to drop. Until next time, remember, awareness is the first step. Without awareness, there is no control. Use less, enjoy more.